All right, it's indistinguishable from magic. Magic. Chris, I feel like every time I do that, I need to do this. Wasn't that the Shia LaBeouf thing that was like magic? Remember that GIF that went around? But it's GIF, not GIF, you monsters. Um, my 7-year-old loves to eat Jif peanut butter, but I send people GIFs because they're funny.
Dude, every time I hear you say the word magic, it makes me think of a Liv and Maddie episode that my kid watches over and over and over again, where they have this cousin that comes in and he's like this. Who was the really popular magician a while back that was like
The Chris Angel guy?
street magician, did like kind of a dark knightish kind of thing. Yeah, Chris Angel, and it was this kid would like pop in. I'm insidious.
Okay.
It's
Wow.
magic.
So, judging by the title of this episode, you guys can probably understand where this is going and why, for this episode, what's in this class is this. Okay. So, this is the Legends. By the way, Legends just up the road here in Cumming, Georgia. I promised them I'd send Chris a hello. Told you we talk about your deliciousness. But this is a barrel-proof weeded bourbon. If you're not a weeded bourbon fan, this sucker clocks in at about $1.15. It's a limited release, of course. I may have a few. And by the way, Chris, it is available in the state of Illinois.
Yum,
comrade.
I will have to partake and get myself a bottle of that, because two of my bottles are gone, and the agreement with the wife is if one leaves, one may enter the house. So tonight, I decided to go close to my roots, but the island across from the close to my roots. I'm doing Aberlour Speyside single malt Scotch whiskey. It's a 12-year double cask matured, and it is amazing.
Wow.
Amazing.
That's
I don't have the
nice.
bottle with me, but
That's pretty.
here's a
I've got
picture.
a couple of whiskeys back here. I've got a couple of scotches.
Yeah.
I've got, I don't know if you guys can see this in the video. If you can't see the video, let's see, where is it? Up here? I've got the Lagavulin up there, and that is the what's his face?
Yep.
Parks and Rec. Why can't I think of his name right now? Anyway, so I got that one. I got another one up there.
Don't ask me. Never watched it.
That may be it. I got Yamazaki, but that's technically whiskey, but it's Scotch. It's Japanese.
I've never been a big fan of Scotch whiskey, because I'm not a big peat. Like everyone that I've had has always had that kind of peaty, that earthy. Yeah. This one, this one, it's got a little bit of hint of spice and fruit to it that is really good. It's like a little bit different. I was reading the in Distilled, the app. I was reading the thing of it, and it's like they said it's carried in Spanish sherry barrels a year, and then switched over to the American oak.
That sounds interesting.
Well, this should be interesting.
Nick Offerman, golly, Christmas! I couldn't think of his name. It's the Nick Offerman edition.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Wow.
I googled it.
That was a total.
I'm sorry. I'm terrible. But anyway,
wait for the cue.
This ranty episode is a good heavily
oh boy.
heavily proofed delicious weeded bourbon. All right, Chris, we're going to talk about, I know this one's my choice. Folks, if you're not, this one's on me. I'm
not laying claim to this one, but not even close.
I hope you poured yourself at least a strong coffee, maybe something in it. But listen, here's the premise, okay? In the last year and a half and change, I have probably talked to conservatively 30 or so, on the outside about 50 or so mid-market companies that um, have no security function to speak of need it because they're delivering services over the internet, or leveraging the internet and cloud services and stuff, in some way, in some major way. And I've pitched them. They kind of go, yeah, I need all of that. I can't do any of those things on my own. And then suddenly, as if from nowhere, we get to talking about like what it costs and how to implement, and you get the usual. Ah, man, I really was thinking this is going to be like $1.50. Like, I can't do it for $1. Come on. All right, maybe we'll get to it. We'll get to it at some point. Maybe next year, like later this year. We're good for now. And I'm not done with my story, but okay.
Hold on. Let's be clear. This is. Hold on.
No, I'm talking
Let's
about
be clear. You're talking about
provider.
security
So I'm talking
tools,
about
right?
security
The blinky,
services,
shiny,
right?
neat stuff.
Listen. You're not going to be able to manage the security of your endpoints, your cloud instances, blah
Okay.
blah blah.
Okay.
Let the experts do it for you. That kind of thing. So time goes by, and sure enough, I could within 3 to 4 months, most of them around 3 months, I get a email in my inbox from some salesperson, or directly maybe from the customer, and it says something like this: "Hey, yeah, the security stuff we're still thinking about, but we really need to get compliant. I have this thing. I'm being told that I need to get by customers, or they can't give me money. It's called a SOC 2. How do I get that? And can you help me? Right? All right. I mean, I've done a couple of these, been through a few. So, I map services to SOC 2. Yeah, I mean, yes. But you do realize, like, we've had this discussion 3 months ago. Nothing's going to change. We're just gonna take the word security out of it with my magic eraser, and I'm going to put SOC 2 compliance. And by the way, add a lot more to the price tag, because there's more to SOC 2 than just. And by the way, compliance regimes like SOC 2, using the trust services criteria. Chris, I don't know how familiar you are with this. I probably should have asked. Yeah, right. You can't buy your way into this. You cannot buy your tool. Like, you can't buy tools and go, okay, bought some stuff, turned it on, we're good, right? No, it's all about the ability to audit and prove that what you're doing is actually impacting availability, confidentiality, right? All that, processing integrity.
Your tools and your process have to actually match up and then show over time that you're doing exactly what you say you're going to do to protect your organization.
Yes. Minimum, right?
6 months. And if I remember correctly, in the trust and principles, it's 6 months.
Just like I said,
minimum.
But this is all security stuff, and we've talked about it. And they go, "Okay, I think we can do that. Just send me a quote." And I'm going, "Wait, what? But you just told me like security had no budget." They're like, yeah, but this isn't security. This is compliance. So you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go into the world of compliance. I'm done with security. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. I don't know. I just should bleep myself out, but.
So I told you that I was gonna violently deny this when we started. So I'm gonna violently deny this. Compliance and security are not the same thing. Absolutely not the same thing. Not the same thing. Security is what we do to make sure that the organization is protecting its assets, its data, in some cases its people, and that is what security is about. Compliance is the little piece of paper with the check boxes on it. No offense to our friends that are in the compliance world. It's a necessary evil. I totally understand. But that is what it is.
And this is why we drink.
Now, I'm going to violently agree with you that, and this is why we drink, that the reality is that, most companies, the compliance budget is bigger than the security budget, right? Because you actually can't sell anything like services or product to a customer without that piece of
I
paper that
trust
says I'm
yeah, all
SOC
that
2, PCI, HIPAA, high
ISO
trust,
2001.
or
Yeah.
or NIST, or
Well,
in some insane cases ISO
I've tried.
27001.
See,
Have you ever actually
these would
sat
all
down
be
and
empty
read
if
that?
I continued. It's just how it would go. None
I
of
know.
this makes
I
sense.
think I got about a
But
third of the
look,
way through it, and I'm like,
so
I'm
look,
going to
Chris,
sleep now for the
security
next
and
year.
compliance are not the
Yeah.
same thing, but
So,
security is a
but yeah.
means to get to achieve compliance, right? Good security practices get you to a state of compliance. But compliance drives budgets. How the hell do we
Yep.
reconcile that? Because these companies aren't interested. I mean, yes, there's a person or several people that are interested in actually doing security because they care and they know they should. But ultimately, when they look at like a requirement for a SOC, it's not coming from somebody telling them, "Well, you should do this. It's the right thing." It's a customer saying, listen, I'm going to write you this check. Like, here's your, oh, no, wait, just hold on. Show me that SOC 2 compliance report. And they're going, SOC what now? Like, oh, I'm going to hold on to this right here in my pocket until you show me that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, you are here, revenue is here, SOC 2 is this. Like, jump this bridge
Yep.
and you're over into revenue. And so they'll do it every time, every single damn time.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And even the
Unless you are
900
the
pound gorilla in
900
the room
pound
still
gorilla in the
loses
room,
sometimes
you aren't winning that
those cases
argument,
where, but look, listen,
unfortunately.
so
So
are we doing this wrong? Are we
yeah.
selling what you and I do wrong? Are like, what is the thing? Because
Are we sell? No, no. I don't think we're selling it wrong, because you said there are some companies out there that will do security for the sake of doing security because it's the right thing to do to protect the company. Now, the reality is that you have to fight for that budget every year, and chances are you're not going to get to spend as much as you thought you were going to. Okay, but if I vaguely remember a conversation that you and I
yeah,
had almost maybe 4.5, 5 years ago, is that companies understand business speak, and it's in terms of risk. And a SOC 2 accurately defines risk, mostly, we'll see, around a company's processes and procedures. So if a customer is going to value their
well, look, and
purchase
there's
based on
this is kind
risk,
of the
guess what?
with all the
Guess what wins? That actually, that it didn't
there
even occur to me
that's
until
kind of
I
what I was
just said
about to
that.
drive to. Good
A
call.
SOC 2 becomes the
It's not
KPI
so much
of a
that,
company's ability to perform
and in all
security.
seriousness, right? It's not so much that security suddenly isn't important. It's that good security is something that may prevent something from happening. Failure to comply or failure to reach a compliance um, is a guaranteed way of not getting revenue. And so we're talking to, as security practitioners, we're talking to the technical maybes, the compliance officer, or in some cases, the vice president or senior vice president of
Mm-hmm.
sales is saying, I can't, revenue is being hindered by this thing.
I,
Right, exactly. And
I
it's,
cannot
and you know,
close
look,
this
the trust
deal
services
without
criteria
that
is an
piece of
interesting
paper.
thing because
Please
there's
go get that
not
piece of paper. Yeah.
the part specifically around security is very it's really loose. It doesn't say you have to do endpoint security, with updated, up to the antivirus definitions and
Well,
threat hunting, and like it doesn't sell really good security tools. But I think this is one of those. No, but what I think it is, and the reason why the big vendors aren't
no,
talking about it, right,
no.
is it doesn't sell big security tools. What it does do is give you that confidence, or at least some measure of confidence that, all right, this is um, have you ever had an accident? Nope. Okay. Um, have you ever caused an accident? Nope. Well, okay. It's like you get to the how do you do things, and by that you can sort of get the warm and fuzzies from a company about, do they have
Mm-hmm.
any idea what they're talking about? Are they have they literally have they simply just bought a bunch of stuff, thrown it in a wiring closet, wired it up, turned it on, hit all the defaults, and went, yes, I have security. I mean, look, there are worse things to do. Um, and quite frankly, every single one of these that comes back and has this conversation with me, we're right back to having that conversation about, um, okay, how do I do security well? And as long as the security things I want match up to TSC control numbers, we're good, right? Like I can show somebody that I'm doing this right, because it isn't just I bought the thing. It's okay. How do I show them that it's working? Which brings us
Mm-hmm.
that maybe you've got something to add before I keep going, but I feel like I've been rambling for a bit. But the where do we go with it? Shut up. Where do we go with this next? I think there's some good. Show me
Oh
that
yeah,
it's
you've been
working is an
ranting.
interesting question.
Well, well,
A million
think
years.
about this. God, how long has PCI been out? Way longer than I can remember. Yeah, it feels like that way. I think SOC 2s have been around for a while, but they really, I think, kind of hit mainstream maybe about maybe 6 years ago ish, give or take, maybe a little more. And if you stop and think about it, PCI drove a major like security, security, security. Got to have good security because everybody saw what happened if you didn't, protect your credit card numbers in an environment, and it sold a lot of product, it sold a lot of services, it sold a lot of stuff. And I think we're going to see a resurgence of a similar model around this concept of the SOC 2 and other compliance related stuff. I
High
see it.
trust
I
is
see a
interesting.
certain
So,
extent
by
of
the
it
way,
around
since
high
since
trust as
you
well
couldn't
too,
remember,
in the
I can
healthcare
quickly
space.
Google
So
PCI DSS version 1.0 dropped December 2004. So dinosaurs. You know,
there you
funny
go.
story. So the other day,
We're
I
old.
ended up
We're old,
having
Raf.
dinner
That's
and
what that
drinks with
means.
Robert Graham, the great Robert Graham of internet snark fame. And we were
Huh?
arguing. We started discussing like old stuff that we'd worked on that's no longer around. And I said Acer Altos, and he's like, "Oh, that was some." I said, "I think that's Unix," and then we kind of argued
Oh
over what it
dear
was. It turns
God.
out it ran both Unix and some other operating system that has
Yep.
PIC, I think he said, or something. It just doesn't exist anymore. Anyway, old stuff. But yeah, that's old. But look, how do we demonstrate to
Yep.
people? How do we demonstrate to our customers that we're serious about security? And I think that's kind of the more of the relevant conversation, because I can get all the like we found ways to game these certs and get the cert even though you're not really doing good security. But I think this is an opportunity, right? By the way, I don't advocate that. Don't get me wrong. I do not advocate that. But I think what I do advocate, what I
You
am
advocate
advocating,
not. You're
is
advocating
look
not
at
well
any particular
security, Raf.
compliance regime that
No.
one of your
No.
customers or a group of your customers or an entire industry you're trying to sell to is requesting, either mandating or asking, like setting the bar. This you must be
Yeah.
this tall to ride this ride, kind of thing. And then look at it and go, okay, how do I do good security that meets or exceeds that compliance regime? And then how do I show it? If you're on the customer side of this, well, I mean, good luck to you, because that's just how it works. But oh,
You know. You know what's gonna. Let's take a for instance scenario here, and this is where I think we're gonna see this. Okay. Solar winds. It's a perfect example. Okay. Everybody that purchased software from that company, had they asked for the SOC 2 to show process compliance, could that
there's an
have
entire
unearthed
section on.
something? Or
Well,
would
there's an
that have
entire
forced
section.
something?
So I think the answer is
in the
possibly.
supply chain.
There's an entire section on change control. How do you effectively identify unknown changes, things that show up that you're not expecting? I would say code that you didn't put there, it would
Mm-hmm.
fall in that category. Now, being able to identify that is in code is tricky, right?
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
but again, this isn't like a how do you find, how do you make sure that no
Mm-hmm.
new admin accounts show up or no new laptops show up on your network or servers. It's how do you manage change? And that speaks to organizational maturity.
No, but
That speaks to do you even have process tracking? I mean, can you spell ITIL? Like,
yeah,
I know some of you guys are like, yeah, ITIL.
but but there's a thing here that I think is really important, and there's something that is very key to the trusted service principles that isn't there in
Yeah.
other assessments and other reviews. It's the time
Yeah.
principle.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
prove that you've done it over a
Yeah.
period of time, and that doesn't exist in PCI
Yeah.
because that's a point in time assessment. Doesn't exist in high trust because high trust is a point in time assessment. And I probably just burned us all for having said what I just said. But it does lend itself though to the point you were making about maturity. Is an organization mature enough to have all of this stuff in place and or
Right.
utilize a partner that has the security practices in place to come in and run your organizational security model for you, depending on the size company you are and what you have and
Yeah.
what you need. And can they show the maturity over time? And I think that's the key thing here. That's really, and this is where, hey, if you're a director of security at a mid-tier company and your chief compliance officer
Seriously,
wields
right?
more power than you,
Oh, yes.
you might want to start
Well,
going to lunch with that chief
Tuma and I,
compliance
if you
officer.
guys don't listen to
Just
the
saying.
Security Rabbit Hole podcast, now's the time to start. But there's a couple of really good episodes with Sean Tuma that I've had on the show repeatedly. And he's, besides being one of the smarter guys I know, he's a great Texan and he's an attorney, so I try not to screw with him. But, this is the entire conversation of it's really about can you drive a better outcome through a different means to get to the same thing? Can you achieve what you want by does it? I mean, if we
Yep.
continue to fight for it has to be security and it has to be for security's sake, rah, 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 it's like okay, but look, recognize that the chief legal counsel, their budget, like you could do the Mary Poppins thing. You can stick your hand down there and like you just keep pulling out money forever because nobody wants to go to jail, and B, this is one of those things where that
Mm-hmm.
budget will borrow from others to make sure the company doesn't get in trouble. This is where we have an opportunity, I think, because if you're having a hard time, if you're struggling, and particularly if you're a service provider, if you deal with other people's data, although I challenge you to find a company today that's like, yeah, it's not us. We don't do any of that because you're kidding yourself in the worst possible way. Um, but if you're dealing with other people's data, you want to have that differentiator. You go, yeah, this is how we differentiate. We prove to people that we understand security in the following way over this period of time in a demonstrable way. Like I can show you. I like this whole notion of everybody's PCI
Mm-hmm.
compliant until the incident happens and then they're no longer. Like that's your point, Chris. It's a point in time. Like, oh, like SOC 2 isn't a hey, did you have all the things, all the buttons
Yep.
turned on Tuesday at 7 p.m. when the auditor showed up? Yeah. At an hour later, you turned everything off because it was blocking production. So then, back at it. But can you demonstrate that you do the right kinds of things, that you are
Mm-hmm.
organizationally mature, that you can detect, change and unauthorized change across all the types of assets, across all the kinds of things that your organization does? And I think so. SOC 2 isn't a security thing. The name of the framework it uses, the trust services criteria, right? Like, how do you build trust from one company to another? I show you that I can
Mm-hmm.
do. Let's just call it. I know. Put stuff down for a second. Okay, how I can do the basics. Yeah. Right. If you haven't thrown anything at your at something, and it's okay. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but that you can do those fundamental things that we should be able to do. Security be damned.
Well, I mean, I'm going to use it. I'll use the technology example. That vulnerability scan you just ran is only good until the 30 minutes later when the next plugin was written, and then you have to run it again and again and again. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
whole point of the process is over time, and things happen over time,
Uh huh.
and people get better.
And all
Attackers
the
get
time.
better over time. New stuff is found over time. Time and all the time, yeah. And time is the one factor in security that makes us less secure. If you don't change that password, that really awesome password you thought you made, that 5-character password that has a bunch of numbers in it, I guarantee you, with enough time
Yeah.
and enough diligence, somebody's going to figure it out. We're not being assholes because we decided to give you a 20-character password. We're being smart because we know that somebody
For
out
now.
there can't come up with enough compute to figure out that 20-character password. Now, nobody wants a 20-character password. But
Wow.
hey, quantum computing will take care of that for us.
And I think this episode ends on the quantum computing
Yeah, I went there.
card. The lesson to take away from this is, for me, funny title and all that aside, I'm going to take at least this particular one, SOC 2 for me, and then CMMC, but CMMC is an entirely different animal. That's a different podcast episode.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Well, we
Yeah,
might I was going to say we might
I
actually
think
have to
that
talk about
this
that one
this bottle
completely
would be
as an
empty by the
independent
time we
podcast.
finish with that. So, all right. Well, thanks to Chris Green over at
Oh
Legends
yes,
for
oh yes.
let me drink this delicious juice over there, and yeah, it's good stuff, man. I promise you,
I will have
this is
to
good
I have to
stuff.
order my bottle up
It
as
is
soon as possible so that I can try it for the next
it's
cast.
good stuff. That's I mean, if you like your bourbon sweet and hot, I'm not going to make the joke I have in my head because you guys will get mad at me. But
Oh,
uh, it, much like I like my Asian chicken, sweet and hot, hot and sour, hot and sweet. I don't know. Never mind. Moving on. Yikes. Venturing off into the realm of food, which I'm not an expert on, but I like to
moving
cook some
on.
things. Anyway, that's what I think. Chris, I'm gonna venture and give you the last word.
I'm
You know
going
what
to
we
have
should
to
do, you
say
guys?
the last
We
word
should
is
use the
quantum.
last word as a topic for the next podcast. Anybody want to hear a podcast about quantum computing that Chris and I have no idea about? I'm gonna go
No,
buy
I think
myself a
I think the
bottle,
next
a bigger
I
one.
think the next one will be
Just I'm
CMMC.
just gonna stick one of those like straws into it, just sit here,
You
sip on
better.
it.
May have to.
All right. Well, I guess I got to go read up more on CMMC. All right. Thanks, Chris. This has been fun, man.
Uh
Hey, I think we're back. Summer
always
season
enjoyed.
of travel and adventures and storms, and I don't know what else happened to you and I, but we both kind of disappeared for a bit. We're back. Yeah, Sean, you can quit sending me nasty messages on Slack. We're
We're
back. I
back.
promise. I don't check Slack anyway,
Topics.
so joke's on you. Anyway, send us topics. I know you guys listen, so send us topics. I'm thinking about having a guest. Maybe we'll get a
Nope.
guest next time. I don't know. We'll see. So send us topics you want to hear about. Thanks for listening, Chris. Have a good evening and finish that glass. And we'll see you next time. Cheers.
As always, you too,
Cheers,
sir.
guys. Bye bye.
It's almost gone.
Mm. Mm-hmm.